In just 10 minutes, uncover 10 gripping takeaways from Shawn Ryan's talk with SOG legend Henry Dick Thompson, codename Dynamite. Hear how 800 enemy soldiers surrounded him, the shocking reality of his first mission, the secrecy of volunteering for SOG, leadership in impossible odds, and the mental cost of war. Takeaway 1, trapped by 800 soldiers. Henry Dick Thompson began his account with one of the most terrifying nights of his life. His small SOG recon team had been inserted into the dense jungle with the task of gathering intelligence deep behind enemy lines. At first, everything seemed quiet, but as the night grew darker, he and his men began to hear movement all around them. Lanterns flickered through the trees and whispers and footsteps closed in. Soon it became clear they were not facing a patrol or even a company. They were surrounded by nearly 800 enemy soldiers. The team froze in place, each man knowing that even the snap of a twig could bring disaster. Thompson almost struck a teammate in the dark, thinking an enemy had slipped into their position. He described how some soldiers walked within feet of where they lay, holding their breath as men passed so close they could hear them breathe. Knowing they could not possibly fight their way out, Thompson called a prairie fire emergency, the highest level distress signal in SOG. Within minutes, the night sky roared with aircraft, bombs, and rockets, shaking the ground as fire tore through the jungle. The chaos gave his team the chance to break contact and slip away. He said the experience taught him that survival came down to discipline, silence, and trust in training. If we had fired a shot too early, they would have overrun us in seconds, he recalled. That night defined why SOG operations were considered some of the most dangerous in Vietnam. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 2, first mission reality. Thompson's very first mission stripped away any illusions about combat. Before leaving base, he was ordered to inspect the belongings of soldiers recently killed. Inside the bags were letters, photographs, and personal items meant for loved ones. One of the names was a friend he had trained with in officer school. The reality hit him hard. This was not adventure, but life and death. When he stepped into the jungle, the risk became real. He carried 50 magazines, about 1,000 rounds, because he knew he would always be outnumbered. The enemy carried 30-round magazines, and Thompson often found himself facing groups of 30 or more men at once. Along with ammunition, he and his team carried grenades and claymore mines. Thompson became known for wiring multiple claymores together, creating devastating blasts. Vietnamese accounts later described him as reckless or crazy for using so many explosives. But Thompson explained it was a matter of survival. Either take risks with firepower or never make it out alive, he said. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 3, volunteering for SOG secrecy. The decision to join SOG was not taken lightly. A friend warned Thompson bluntly, "If you volunteer, you will either die or you will come back broken." He signed the papers anyway and boarded a bus riddled with bullet holes to the Da Nang base. From the moment he arrived, the atmosphere was heavy with secrecy and danger. Veterans of dozens of missions walked past with short carbines and grenades strapped to their chests. When they looked at you, you saw death in their eyes, Thompson remembered. Secrecy defined every part of the job. No identification, no dog tags, and no official acknowledgement. If captured, they would be treated as spies. Thompson explained that the lack of identity made it clear that he was already living on borrowed time. Volunteering for SOG was an acceptance that every mission could be final. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 4, leadership in impossible odds. As he gained combat experience, Thompson became a 1-0, the leader of a recon team. Leadership in SOG was not about shouting orders, but about carrying the same risks as everyone else. He set up his own claymores, carried heavy loads, and fought side by side with his men. He insisted his team carry extra ammunition and explosives, sometimes more than they thought reasonable. But in ambushes where they were outnumbered 10-1, those extra supplies saved lives. Leadership also meant knowing when not to act. After returning home, Thompson and other veterans were spat on and insulted in airports. With all his training, he could have retaliated, but he did not. He said real leadership requires restraint as much as courage. Later in his civilian career as a psychologist and business leader, he taught veterans to recognize that their combat skills, planning, organizing, and decision-making under stress, were valuable in life outside of war. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 5. Childhood prepared the soldier. Thompson's upbringing in South Carolina gave him a foundation for survival. He spent much of his youth in the woods, teaching himself how to move silently, track animals, and avoid detection. He called this skill being invisible, meaning no one could see, hear, or smell him. With neighborhood friends, he formed a group he named Thompson's Rangers, staging pretend missions long before he ever wore a uniform. He also loved science and experimentation. He built rockets and mixed chemicals, sometimes with explosive results. On one occasion, one of his rockets exploded and blew out windows in nearby homes. These experiments were reckless, but revealed his drive to push limits and learn by trial and error. The same curiosity and persistence later became essential tools in combat. We're halfway through the video. Thanks for sticking with us. If you're enjoying it, hit the thumbs up and share it in your WhatsApp groups. If you'd like to support us, please tap the thanks button below. It helps us keep making great content. Drop a comment and don't forget to hit subscribe for more. Now let's continue with the video. Takeaway 6. Choosing the Ranger path. When Thompson was old enough, he worried the war would end before he could serve. He left college and enlisted. During basic training, he noticed a drill sergeant wearing a Ranger tab and immediately decided that was his goal. He pursued Ranger School, airborne training, and Special Forces qualification. At just 21 years old, he was driven by challenge rather than fear. He admitted that at that age he was not thinking about consequences. He wanted the hardest possible assignments. Other people paid money to go on roller coasters. The Army paid me to jump out of airplanes and handle explosives, he said. That pursuit of extreme tests led directly into SOG, where danger was guaranteed. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 7. Sleep studies in soldier performance. After the war, Thompson became a psychologist and studied how lack of sleep affects performance. He ran experiments with ROTC cadets, keeping them awake for days while asking them to march with packs and solve problems. After only 24 hours without sleep, their performance dropped by a quarter, though most believed they were still fine. After longer periods, hallucinations set in. Some thought they saw people in the woods when only trees stood there. He warned the NATO leaders that sleep-deprived soldiers would make poor decisions in combat. Some ignored him, but later wars proved his findings correct. He connected the lesson to everyday life, noting that falling asleep at the wheel causes more highway deaths than drunk driving. His work showed that rest is not a luxury, but a requirement for effective performance in both war and peace. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 8. The mental cost of war. War left invisible scars. Thompson explained that SOG operators often refused medical treatment so they would not be pulled from missions. He once pulled shrapnel from his own body with forceps instead of reporting the injury. Even greater than the physical damage was the mental toll. Returning home, he and many others were met with insults and hostility rather than gratitude. The combination of adrenaline, constant danger, and the loss of comrades left lasting wounds. Thompson admitted that PTSD was part of his life. He reminded listeners that courage is not only about charging into battle, but also about facing the difficult aftermath. Many veterans continue to fight internal battles long after the shooting ends. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 9. Honoring veterans with respect. Thompson devoted much of his civilian life to honoring fellow veterans. His company adopted a policy of buying coffee for anyone in uniform and handing out coins that read, "Welcome home." He explained that those two words, which many Vietnam veterans never heard when they returned, carried deep meaning. He also pushed the message that veterans bring powerful skills to civilian jobs. The ability to remain calm under stress, plan complex tasks, and make rapid decisions are valuable in any workplace. Honoring veterans, he said, should not only be about looking back, but also about giving them the chance to succeed going forward. Now let's move to the last takeaway. Takeaway 10. Faith and lasting lessons. Thompson ended his reflections with faith and meaning. He believes his survival in Vietnam was part of a larger plan. Faith gave him strength both in firefights and in the years afterward. He wrote books to share his story, combining the details of missions with the psychological and spiritual lessons he learned. He told listeners, "You know how to plan, you know how to organize, you know how to decide. Apply that to life and you can succeed." His message was that combat lessons are not only for soldiers, They are lessons of resilience, courage, and faith that anyone can apply to face challenges in life. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support this channel, hit the thanks button below. It really helps us keep going. If you enjoyed this summary, please leave a like and share it in your WhatsApp groups. To join discussion about this video, drop a comment below. And for more videos like this, hit the subscribe button below.